Hello and welcome to this week's Yarn Chat. My name is Nicole and I'm the brains and the beauty behind Yarncraft by Nicole. Today I've got a lot to show you. It's been 3 weeks since my last episode. We've had lots of family come visit and we went on a trip with friends. So it's been a lot going on and there's just so much to show you. So the first thing that I want to show you is my featured make. This is the, I'll come a little closer so you can see, Front Porch Cowl by Kaitlin of Sass and Stitch. I have an exciting reason why I am wearing it this week. I love these colors. I feel like I do not make with these colors that much, but these are some of my favorites. Like I love a slightly lighter Tiffany blue. Like it's my Nicole color. Like I have a teapot in it. Our KitchenAid stuff is all that color. And then this pretty like purple and then almost, I don't know, unicorn, ice queen pastels. This was a sock set by Sunshine Queen Fiber Arts. And it was a full skein that came with 2 mini skeins and I used pretty much all of it. I pattern test this for Kaitlin and it is in her, where did I put it? Okay, it's over here. It is in her book, which is out now. I pre-ordered mine. It is the Art of Crochet with Sock Weight yarn. She uses hand-dyed yarn in the book, so you can see what to do with what you've bought from your favorite yarn store, and I love it. It's a very specific type of crafting that can be overlooked in crochet, so it's fantastic. And there's a couple of patterns I want to show you in this book, but this one I pattern test for her, and let me show you her version. She's a big pink girly, so I think hers is in shades of pink. And like I said, it uses 1 full skein and 2 mini skeins, which a lot of sock sets come in. Yeah, there it is right there. So that's her version, the Front Porch Cowl. It's great. I think that it would be great for scraps, and I would love a version that I would just double wrap. I think that would be great, like an extra long version. It uses a join as you go method, so you do not seam these squares together, which a lot of people really like. I don't really mind seaming, but I could see how it would be tedious with these tiny squares. And then there's a couple of things I want to show you in her book that I want to make. I'll try to show it to you without giving away any of the details. This pattern is the reason I bought the book. Show it to you just right there so you don't see. This is the Choose Your Own Adventure cardie, and it uses like small solid granny squares, and it also uses a join as you go method. I'm gonna make one with scraps from my daughter's alphabet blanket, which was also a Sass and Stitch pattern, and then just other scraps that I think kind of would go with that. And I am not going to do the join as you go method, partially because I'm using scraps and I have like probably enough for 1 square of some colors and who knows how many of other colors. And so what I'm going to do is start with the colors that I want to be most featured, because they tell you how many, or she tells you how many squares you need total per size. So I'm going to start with the amount, or I'm going to start with the color that I really like, that I want most of the cardigan to be, make as many of those as I can with what I have, and then kind of fill in from other ones, and then like place where I want these, instead of doing it in a more predictable pattern where you kind of know what color you need to add in next, if that makes sense. And like I said, I don't mind seaming, and that project will have no deadline. It'll be whenever I need it to be, so I think it'll be great. There's several patterns in here I would like to make, but the other one that I want to make right off the get-go is this one, the Dragonfly Twist Cowl. It is a one skein wonder. It has a pretty stitch pattern to it. Might use triple crochet. Just looking at what I've got. Oh no, it uses a very cool like double treble. So I think this will be great, and I already know what yarn I'm going to use for it. So this yarn has been in my stash for 2 years maybe. It's La Vivian, which I have I think 2 skeins of hers in stash. And there's a beautiful colorway that she dyes for my local yarn store, but I'm like, I'm not allowed to buy it until I use what I have in stash, because it is like, this is her Cash Merino base, and so it's a bougie base, and I didn't want to mess it up. And a beautiful one skein Wonder Cowl is going to be perfect for this. And I think that the way that the stitches are in this particular cowl will look good in the variation that I have in here. So I already know that's what I'm doing. And Kaitlin has a crochet along starting maybe next week. Go check out her Instagram, Sass and Stitch. And I think it's period, so sash or sass, S-A-S-S dot and dot stitch on Instagram, but I'll put it down below. She's doing a crochet along. She's got some great speakers lined up for Instagram lives, and then really awesome prizes. So I think that's what I'm going to do for that crochet along. And like, there are some really great I am not allowed. Oh, that's the other one I was going to show you. So there's a really pretty scrappy blanket. Yeah, sassy scrappy blanket is what it's called. And what I'm going to do with this is use scraps. Focus, please. But I'm going to take this cardigan apart that I do not wear and use the variegated speckle for the connecting color. And I think that'll be really pretty. Because yarn is great, and I want to take this apart and do something else with it, and I think that'll be a good thing to do with it. I thought about looking for a sweater because there's plenty of yarn here to do that, but I think that these colors will just look really pretty with scraps. So yeah, I think that's another thing that I might start. I might do that like over the holidays. It's a holiday project. We'll see. We'll see when that gets done. But all that to say, her book is out. You can get it where books are sold, and it's wonderful. I am very excited. It's one of those books that it has 15 patterns. This cost me $23. Like, that's a really good price point. I'm like, look at this pillow. Look at that pillow. The little color wheel. That's so cute. So we'll see how many I end up making from this book, but there are lots of good ones. But just wanted to show that to you. Kaitlin from Sass and Stitch. Okay, so what have I finished? Well, I've started / worked on a lot more things than I have finished. Finished 2 things. And they are these mermaids, which I freehanded. Ergo, there is no pattern for. But look how cute they are. So let me tell you the story about these mermaids. This was another project that I took apart that had this pretty teal variegated, the purple, and the lime green. And I knew that I wanted to take it apart, and I thought it would make a perfect mermaid for my daughter Melody. And I was in California with friends, and their 7-year-old helped me pick out a good skin tone yarn for Melody, because I didn't have one that was close to her skin tone. This is a little darker than her melanin right now, but that is subject to change as she gets older. And anyway, so I made this with that yarn. I did it tail up and then head to waist. Since I did the tail first, I joke that she is a bit of a Pixar mermaid. She's voluptuous, hips and booty. In fact, Vaughn's best friend's like, oh, she's got a donk. She does indeed. So love her. We've named her Violet. Melody's a big fan. Her hair is super curly because it's from like the fact that it was in a project that had been blocked and had been in that project for years. And so it's very ramen-y, but it's perfect for her little curls, her little coils. And there's a couple of strands that have gotten straightened as my daughter has chewed on them, kind of blocked them straight, but we love her. That's Violet the mermaid. I think it's all super washable. I know for sure all the colors are. I can't remember if the skin tone yarn is as well, but she's lovely. But since AJ helped me pick out this yarn for Melody's mermaid, as a thank you, I wanted to make her a mermaid. And at first I was going to use yarn I had in stash, but I knew I needed to pick out a skin tone yarn for her and then a hair color yarn for her because her hair is very, very long and dark brown, and I didn't have any. And so I went to my local Michael's, and I saw this pink loops and threads ombre yarn that also has like sparkle to it. And I said, well, that's mermaid tail yarn if I've ever seen it. And AJ's a big fan of pink, so that is what she got, and she was a big fan. We actually saw them over Labor Day, and the only reason that her Sweet Mermaid is still with me is because it accidentally got mixed in with our stroller, and so we're just keeping it for her here until her mom comes and visits next month. But yeah, she's so cute. I'm a big fan. I used safety eyes for her mermaid. I just sewed eyes for Melody's mermaid, partially because I could only find blue eyes. Like I could only find these eyes in my local Michael's. And I also, like I know they're safety eyes and they would be fine for her, but she chews on everything. And also I was a little wary of placement on them. I just figured that I would do better with my first mermaid, just embroidering them on there. And then I got bold with AJ's mermaid. So these are my only 2 finished objects, but they're really cute. I like them. They were a hit. They have been a hit with both little girls. So what have I been working on? Well, everything. For the trip that we took on Lake Michigan with friends, it's like Knitting Tipsy was just released the Tipsy Tee. It's a fun fingering weight tee that would be easy to do. It's in like 2 big panels. This is a great travel crochet project, and it's the end of summer. Let's just see how far I can get on one. And so I had yarn in stash that I knew I wanted to use, that I bought in Italy actually. It is I'll show you 2 in the skein that's mostly still together. It is a discontinued base, I think, Katya Genesis, but it's made with some recycled fibers. And I had 2 big skeins of this. I think they were both 200 grams. Lots of yardage, and because I had 2 big skeins of it, I knew that I could just do both panels and it would be easy to see if I was going to have enough yarn, and I could just adjust the length of the panels if I thought I was running short. So I changed the amount that I needed for my size. And the other thing is that this pattern is written for both a hip length and a cropped length. So I started this like right before we went, and I really like the way that the colors are striping. That was another thing that I thought this yarn would be really good for this, because all the stripes are vertical, whereas if I was doing this in like a top-down top, it would pull in weird ways, and I knew I wanted to use this yarn for garment, and it feels great. So I started the hip length one, and I got, I don't know, not quite halfway through the panel, and then I started to worry that I wasn't going to have enough yarn. This yarn, I cannot remember, and I don't still have the tag, if it's a fingering weight or if it's a sport, but I would say it works up more like a sport than a fingering. So I took out a couple of rows of the lace on one side, and I was going to do the same on the other side, but still I was just worried about the length. And I knew I didn't want the super cropped version because it just wasn't going to be, as much as I like cropped things, it wasn't a style in that length that I would wear a lot. And I also got nervous that the hip length one was too long. So I ended up starting it again, and I worked on it until the end of the trip, which was just over a long weekend, and then I haven't worked on it since. So what I did the second time, because I thought I was going to be off, but not crazy off on yardage, so I, instead of chaining the amount needed for, or the amount suggested for my size, I actually chained the amount suggested for the smallest size, which was about 20 stitches shorter. And I think that that's going to give me a better proportion. And also because the yarn that I'm using is a little bit thicker, I think it's just going to work out better. So I'm happy with this. I love the drape of the yarn even before blocking. But I don't know when I'll get back to this because it's starting to feel like fall. And I have 2 pattern tests that I signed up for. So this will be a project that I return to when I return to it, but I really like it. If you haven't bought a knitting Tipsy pattern before, they are well written, they are well tested. She is very size inclusive. It is easy to find testers who are a similar size and or shape to you, and in a variety of colors. Like one of her testers did it in a dress length, like a maxi dress length, and it looks great. So I will, especially now pulling it out, I'm like, this is really pretty. I want to work on this, but I gotta finish a couple of other things. But it's lovely, and highly recommend Chelsea's patterns from Knitting Tipsy. And she does knit and crochet patterns. Sometimes she'll do a similar, and I guess I say that, this might be the first time that she's done it, where she'll do a design in knit or crochet and then kind of come up with a similar version in the other, but this one she is doing that way. So the Tipsy Tee, which is what this is already out, and it is a crochet pattern, and then she's working on the Tipsier Tee, which will be a knit pattern and will be out at some point. But they're both very pretty, and yeah, big fan of that, and now I want to get back to it at some point. The other things that I have been working on, let's see, where do I want to start? We'll end with the pattern test. So I've been working on the Rhinebeck sweater that I am making that looks like a giant quilt, because it kind of is right now, with these squares. It's like someone is setting off fireworks. I'm sorry if you can hear that. I don't know why anybody would be setting off fireworks right now. But it's coming along well. It's going a little slower as it gets bigger, just because it requires more squares to go around, but also because these you put 4 together and then you seam them in. But I really, really like it. So this is not a pattern. It probably will not be a pattern, but I am making a video kind of on how I put it together, and there is a tutorial for this. It's the A-point quilt block star, and then there is a tutorial for this, the pinwheel, quilt pinwheel. That are both under my tutorials, and I think they're pretty good. I think they're pretty clear. Let me know if you don't think that, or if you do, you can let me know either way. But I'm really enjoying this. I had a mild freak out one day when I'm worried about yarn management, but I think I'll be fine. This is going to be a cocoon cardigan. So after I do this round around the outside, I think it will be wide enough. And then I think I'm going to add some length with just solid one color squares to add width to it. And then I will seam it together, and you know, as you do with a cocoon cardigan, kind of fold it in half, seam it together, And then I'll see how much of the background color I have to do either ribbing along the inside and along the sleeves, or to do just a border. This is Happy Place Yarn by TL Yarn Crafts. And while I still could buy more, they have changed the dye. Yeah, they've changed the way that they have dyed the contrast colors, because it was very popular. It sold out. I was one of the first ones that bought it, and then when they were able to bring it back, they had to change a little bit of how they dyed it. So I won't be able to get any more of the contrast colors. It's possible I could get more of the background color, but it also just is kind of in flux on whether or not it's in stock a lot of times. But that being said, I think I'm fine. And it's also a cotton and wool blend, so it is gonna stretch a little bit when I block it, even with all of these seams that are in there right now. And I think the drape will be awesome. I should have enough left over to make Melody a vest, but I think it's just gonna be a 9 square patch, like 9 square on the front and the back, and then probably a square over the shoulder and like on the sides, and then maybe ribbing, or maybe I'll just mimic whatever I do on mine. But I think that'll be really cute, and we'll see what colors hers are when we figure out how much colors of what I have left. I really like the idea of doing hers in yellow and maybe the dark blue, or yellow and the green and the purple. We'll see. I think yellow for sure. She seems to really like yellow, but yeah, it's coming along well. I like it. It's very pretty. Yes, that's all I have to say about that. I'm using the mattress stitch to seam them together. I will update a picture on Ravelry, as I will try to update all of these pictures before this podcast comes out. Okay. Pattern tests. Let's talk pattern tests, because that will lead us into yarn love. So I am testing 2 patterns. One is the Vivian Vest by Manatee Squares, and that's the one that I actually have work on, and I really like it. So this is the bottom. It's a bottom up pattern. So this is like the bottom, and then this is the back panel, and then there'll be 2 front panels. And it looks a little silly right now to have these giant armholes. Like, it almost looks like you can see kind of the width there. It almost looks like overalls, and the front panels are really skinny, so it really will look like overalls. But it has this beautiful shawl collar in the middle, and then some pretty thick ribbing on the sides, and on the bottom. So I'm very pleased with the way that this is working out. I am using a yarn that I have not used before. This is Noro Kakagori, and this is a 50% cotton, 30% silk, 10% viscose, 10% polyamide, and it comes in a 200 gram put up, 200 gram hank, or it's not a hank, 200 gram cake, and I am a big fan. So this is a yarn I got from my local yarn store. I went in thinking that I would come out with a wool, maybe, like I thought about maybe a hand dyed, and like an orange, maybe like an acidy green, maybe a purple. But I was talking to one of the people that worked at the store, who was awesome, very helpful. And she was like, well, have you taken a look at this? Like, because this is the amount of yards you'll need, you would need 2 balls of this. What do you think about the yarn composition? And then she also, this is really cool, she went to the extent of going on Ravelry, pulling up this yarn and looking up crochet patterns so I could see how it looked at crochet, because they only, like, the owner had only ever used it in knit, and like It was really sweet of her. So I said, yeah, let's give it a shot. And I am a big fan with how it is, how it's working out. I wasn't sure how I would like the thick, thin quality of it, but in this stitch pattern, looks really good. I was also a little nervous about the strength of the yarn, like if it would hold up, since it is it's a single ply. I don't think you can see there. But again, because the stitch is a little bit dense, but also, I mean, it's meshy. I think it'll be fine. I think it'll be really good. The only thing I'm a little bit worried about is picking up for the like the ribbing, but I think it'll be fine. But I'm really enjoying it. I'm seeing on the screen like the way that it is pulling in the back panel is a little different than the bottom, which I would say is not that noticeable, not on screen, but it's pretty cool. I used pretty much one cake for the bottom all the way through this. I had to break into it for the last row, the top, and I should have plenty to do the front panels and the ribbing. I'm making a size 2X. This pattern is written with either like 0 ease, maybe 1 inch. Like, it's pretty snug. And I think it's gonna be great. And it's been fast. Like, I started this a week ago. It's a DK weight yarn. It went fast. So very pleased with this. And honestly, I'm gonna try to finish it up this week. We'll see with the ribbing, because ribbing always takes forever in crochet. But yeah, really like it. Big fan. And this was my first time using Noro ever. So it's also a nice like check of, do I like this brand? Would I use it? Does it work well for crochet? I think it does. I have had, the yarn broke once, I think, when I was trying to get out a knot. And there were like a couple of knots in the yarn, like manufacturer's knots, but it has held up well, and they are really big hanks. So the next pattern test I have not started. It is the Serendipity Serendipity V-neck. I don't remember. But it is a Tunisian crochet pattern by the Crafty Crocheter. And I haven't started yet, but this is the yarn I'm using. It's this beautiful deep teal blue, and I don't know if it's coming across on camera, but it's got like a little bit of green in it. I have wanted to use this color for a while, and I think I've been nervous about using it in the top because I wear a lot of jeans, but I think it has enough teal that it'll show through. And I also have these green pants that I wear all the time, and this will look great with those. So this is Vintage by Barocco, and they're DK. It is a 52% acrylic, 40% wool, 8% nylon. I use this a lot when I am making something for someone and I want it to be warm and a little bit of luxe, but I don't want them to have to worry about how they take care of it, because you can throw this in the washer and the dryer. Probably would, well, you can throw it in the washer. Probably would lay it flat to dry. But it's so pretty. And Barocco does such a good job with just their depth of color. It's so good. I made my sister-in-law a cardigan out of one of their purple shades, and she says she wears it all the time and gets compliments on it all the time. So I'm gonna do this. I looked for a long time for a yarn that I wanted to use for this pattern test, and I was originally thinking hand dyed, because it's a Tunisian knit stitch. It would show off a hand dyed beautifully. But because it's Tunisian knit stitch, it's just a yarn hog. And when I was running some numbers in the size that I'm making, like if I had used a hand dyed, it would be close to $200. And while that is not obscene for a garment that you're gonna wear that you want to splurge on, I just couldn't justify this year. And so I looked at a lot of options to see what makes the most sense. Barocco, I think this was like 10 bucks. Yeah, I think it was 10 bucks a hank. And The yardage is really good. I know how it works up. I've used it before. I've always wanted to use this color, and then I bought it from Spun online, and you can use your rewards programs with Spun even if you shop online, which a lot of places don't let you do. Like they will do it as a reward program in stores, but it's really hard on some online systems to be able to do that online. But they let you use your reports online, and I had some points, so I think I got maybe $8 off of my order. And then I think I had sold a pattern on Ravelry, so I had a little bit of money in my PayPal. So it was nice that like this sweater is going to cost me, or I think I paid to get the yarn here $57, something like that, which is pretty good. And I'm really excited to work with it. I need to swatch later because one of the amazing testers in the group is like, don't forget the Tunisian will shrink on you. So make your swatch and then wait a couple of days and see if it actually works. And while I can sometimes play fast and loose with gauge swatches, I have not made a Tunisian garment. I've never done a Tunisian garment pattern test. I don't want to get it wrong. So very happy about this. The name of this color is Tide Pool, and it's perfect. So with Yarn Love, the only yarn purchases that I've made have been the Noro Kakagori, that from Spun, the Barocco, and then this is August's Steep Club colorway. So this will go into my blanket from Terrapin Fiberworks. It's called Just Peachy, and being a Georgia girl, I love that. It came with peach tea, which I have not made yet, but I desperately need to. And it's just got beautiful speckles in it. I can't wait to see how it works up. But it's another one that it'll get worked up when I maybe finish a pattern test or something. But I love it. Lila knocks it out of the park every time. And the colorway for September, which I think is already close, I'm sorry if you're not in the club and you can't get it, it's like a vibrant lilac-y purple. It's good. That's really good. So I think it'll play well with the other colors in the blanket. And I think that wraps up what I've got for you. I haven't done a ton of work on Melody's temperature blanket, so I didn't even bring that up to show you. But I think that's all we got this week. It is starting to feel like fall here in New Jersey, at least in the mornings. Today it felt like fall, and I think the high today was 70. And so this morning I went out early to do grocery shopping, and I was like, oh, as a treat, like I'm doing grocery shopping without the baby. Vaughn had Melody today while I did that, and I was like, treat myself to a pumpkin spice latte, go to Trader Joe's. And so I did. It was really hot when I got this pumpkin spice latte, so by the time I got to Trader Joe's, it was the right temperature. Took one sip in the car, I was like, perfect. And then I get out of the car to walk into Trader Joe's, and somehow, and like trying to lock my car and holding the coffee and like my reusable bags, it just jumped out of my hands and spilled everywhere, and it was just so tragic. I was like, this is my first PSL of the season. It's just everywhere. And I told my sister and her fiance, and they were mourning the loss with me, which was pretty funny. And you know, it's my own fault. And then my sister's like, here's $7 on Venmo. go get yourself another one this week. See, that's sweet. You get it. But what I can't let go of this week is just how much fun we've had with friends and family over the past 2 weeks. We had my sister and her fiance Chelsea come visit us right before Labor Day. They hadn't seen Melody since April, I think, and she's just so big and into everything, and so they had a lot of fun with that. And then Chelsea's also a crocheter, so I took her to my local yarn store at Yarnia. We did a sushi lunch. We had a great time. And then we did a lake house trip with a group of friends, and everybody had their kid. Like, everybody has one daughter. They range from ages 6 to 8 months, and so that was a ton of fun. And Melanie got to put her little feet in the sand and in Lake Michigan, and she was not sure about the sand but seemed to like the water. She likes the pool here. And it was just a great time to hang out with friends. And then when we came back this past weekend, my husband's sister came to visit us, and she actually just left today, and just had a great time hanging out, showing her around, hanging out with Melody, and it's just been really good. So life here, as always, is busy and good. I hope yours is too, or some variation of those two put together. I hope that you're having lots of making time as we get into fall. I can't wait to see and hear what other makers are making. Let me know what you're making down below. If you're making a Rhinebeck sweater, let me know. If you're going to Rhinebeck, let me know. We can meet up. We're going to be there on Saturday. And with that, I will see you in hopefully 2 weeks. Bye, guys.